Greetings, I'm Wham Bam Duel, and welcome to my explanation of Spell Commander's latest deck profile, the modern Kite Tenjo. I highly recommend watching his video first, as this one is meant to go more into depth with some of the choices made when creating the deck. Starting off with the main deck monster choices, let's establish the basic outline I had for them. Kite has 3 different fully realized archetypes in Photon, Galaxy, and Cypher. I decided that the only mandatory monster to run in the main deck would be Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. The rest of the main deck monsters consist of Galaxy cards, Photon cards, and Overlay Booster since it's decent and works with the cards well. Afterglow and Cloud Dragon are pretty normal includes for a character deck. Afterglow allows for huge attack boosting plays if used right, and Cloud Dragon is fine for summoning a Galaxy Eyes and stacking itself as an overlay unit. Every other Photon and Galaxy card in this list, from Galaxy Brave to Photon Emperor, are good for either swarming, searching and swarming, recovery, and Xyz setup. And since pretty much every monster in this list is either one with 2,000 or more attack, or can help you get to a monster with 2,000 or more attack, Overlay Booster, which is a monster kite used in Zexal, also doesn't hurt as an include, since it's pretty much just a free summon that can be used as a boost for an Xyz monster, hence the name. Now to explain the Galaxy and Photon monsters that were left out of this list. Galaxy Serpent is a level 2 normal tuner monster which has no place in a rank 4 and an 8 Xyz oriented deck. Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Primal is a Mazar card. Galaxy Tyranno can only interact on the opponent's turn, and his summoning condition is just kind of inefficient. Galaxy Dragon's attacking restrictions are arguably more frustrating than Photon Thrasher and Vanishers, except this monster doesn't even have a way to special summon itself. Galaxy Worm can only summon a level 3 or lower Galaxy monster from the deck and negate its effects. As mentioned before, this deck mostly focuses on rank 4s and 8s, so setting up a rank 3 isn't very useful. Galaxy Mirror Sage's flip effect isn't very useful, and its floating effect isn't worth using either since there are better ways to access Galaxy monsters in the deck. Normal or flip summoning Photon Caesar is just unrealistic. Same goes for Photon Wyvern. Photon Leo's effect isn't even useful and might even help fix the opponent's hand. Photon Slasher could be a lot more useful as a swarming tool if it was level 4, level 8, or did anything other than just summon itself. Photon Crusher is just a 2,000 attacker that eats your normal summon. Normal summons in this list are better spent on cards that actually do something, like Galaxy Cleric and Galaxy Summoner. Photon Delta Wing might be a decent rank 4 setup or stall strategy if you just wanted to summon one and leave 2 copies on the field up, but I'd sooner trust cards like Galaxy Wardrake, which can be rank 4 or 8 setup. Not to mention, drawing multiples of it could be really bricky. Photon Chargeman is the same as Photon Crusher to me, but even worse. Photon Circle serves negative purpose. Photon Saber Tiger is just a worse Delta Wing. Photon Cerberus isn't going to help much when fewer and fewer battle traps are being played anymore. Photon Pirate is just an even worse Chargeman to me at this point. Curry Photon is entirely outclassed by Galactic Karibo, both in terms of effects and in terms of aesthetics. Photon Satellite's level combination effect will only lead it and the other monster to becoming level 5 or 9 in this deck, which isn't very helpful. Paladin of Photon Dragon is a pretty bricky and inefficient way to get to Galaxy Eyes these days. Luminous Dragon Ritual's graveyard effect isn't even very helpful, and only really works if you're playing more copies of Paladin of Photon Dragon. For some other cards that got left out, since we're playing the much more efficient Photon Orbital, Lilybot and the original Orbital 7 cards don't have much utility here, as funny as "you got it boss" counters are. Dimension Wanderer's ability is extremely gimmicky and not very useful outside of its singular use case. Daybreaker's ability isn't going to work very well since it's not a Photon or Galaxy monster. Reverse Buster's effect is just all over the place. Light Serpent is a level 3, which is just one level short of being slightly playable. Plasma Ball's ability is just bad. It's 900 damage that eats your normal summon. As for the cream of the crop of cards that I decided to leave out of the main deck, we get to the Cypher monsters, who were not designed at all to be playable with the much more vast Photon or Galaxy cards at all. I already know there are going to be people asking where more of the Cypher monsters are, So allow me to go through this archetype, and hopefully you'll see why these cards really don't belong in this deck outside of their Xyz monsters. Starting with Cypher Biplane, it can target 2 Cypher monsters the player controls and change their levels to 8. It can also summon itself when a Cypher monster is summoned to the player's field. If it's destroyed, it can banish itself to search a Cypher monster. Doesn't sound like the worst thing ever on the surface, but how is this card supposed to interact with Photon or Galaxy cards at all? We're skipping Storm Cypher since it's a Cyberse monster who incidentally just happens to have the word Cypher in its name. If the opponent controls an extra deck monster and the player controls no monsters, Cypher Twin Wrapper can summon itself. It can also discard a card to summon another Cypher from the deck. But then, the player is locked exclusively into summoning Cypher monsters for the rest of the turn. So not only does this not interact with Photons or Galaxies, but it prevents you from using them in their entirety. It's not only not synergistic, it's anti-synergistic with the rest of Kite's cards. If the player controls a Cypher monster, they can summon Cypher Wing from the hand. Cypher Wing contribute itself to boost the levels of all Cypher monsters by 4 for the rest of the turn. Really just a worse biplane if you look at it carefully. Cypher Mirror Knight can discard itself when a Cypher is destroyed in battle, and only by battle, to re-summon the destroyed monster. During the end phase of a turn it was sent to the graveyard, it adds a Cypher monster from the deck to the hand. Honestly, one of the worst search effects I've ever seen on a monster. Cypher Soldier was printed long before the Cypher archetype's existence, and used to be called Kinetic Soldier, so it's only a part of the archetype by name and nothing else. In the hand or graveyard, Cypher Retranger can attach itself to a Cypher Xyz monster as material. If it's sent to the graveyard, it searches a Cypher back row. Admittedly, not terrible, but they could have at least allowed it to say Galaxy Eyes or Cypher Xyz monster, like the trap card Cypher Bit does. Maybe then, the card would be worth playing. With that, I believe I've covered all the monsters that got left out of the main deck. Moving to the Galaxy back row, we've got back row removal with Galaxy Cyclone, Swarming with Expedition and Trance, Tribute-based removal with Hyper Galaxy, Revival with Galaxy Zero, Free card advantage with Galaxy 100, and a rank up with Eternal Galaxy. Photon Hand and Stream of Destruction are both decent removal options. Time Stops effect is generally neat and a pretty fun gimmick overall. And Photon Change allows cards to be swapped out for other cards. All other back row are either non-named Photon and Galaxy support, or decent Xyz support cards. The one Cypher back row I included, Cypher Bit, is somewhat helpful as it can attach to any Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster or Cypher Xyz monster, all of which are also Galaxy Eyes Xyz monsters, then protect that monster from destruction once. It's just helpful enough to see inclusion. As for the Photon and Galaxy back row that was left out, there's Galactic Charity, which if I recall correctly is actually a Mazar card, but even if it's not, I'm not going to have my heart broken over this thing not being in Kite's deck. Excel Light, which takes away the normal summon for the turn. Galaxy Queen's Light, which is only a Galaxy card by name. Galaxy Journey, which is much more of a Mazar card since it can use dark monsters. Galaxy Storm, which isn't as useful in an era where not everybody plays Xyz monsters anymore. Galaxy Wave, which is kind of a do-nothing card, and would only amount to maybe like 1500 to 2000 burn damage on the first turn. Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, which is a Mazar card. Photon Veil, which doesn't offer really great hand fixing, since any 3 light monsters in this deck should at least be able to do something. Only in very specific hands of rare combinations of cards would this card be useful. Photon Sanctuary's tokens can't be used for an Xyz summon due to the properties of token cards, and would only really be useful for getting the Link 2 out or summoning Galaxy Eyes from the hand. But there are better ways to do both of those. Photon Booster's attack boosting effect isn't very relevant. Photon Lead's ability isn't very useful since most monsters with that stat line can either summon themselves or just be normal summoned. Photon Trident's boosts are negligible, and its back row removal is slow and inefficient. Photon Generator Unit is a Cyber Dragon card, and Photon Current is just honest as a trap card. And now for me to continue to remind you how bad Cypher cards are by looking at their back row. Cypher Interference is only useful with multiples of the same monster on the field, or if the effect of Cypher Dragon or Neo Cypher Dragon has been used, and even then, it's extremely gimmicky and not very useful. If you resolve the effects of Cypher Dragon or Neo Cypher Dragon, you're probably already ahead in the duel anyways. Double Exposure doubles the levels of 2 level 6 or lower monsters with the same name. Really only useful on Cypher Twin Raptor, Wing, and Mirror Knight for making rank 8 plays. Its battle phase effect is made to just try and give interference the smallest amount of playability, which even then it doesn't do a great job of. Cypher Spectrum only works with Cypher Xyz monsters, and Double Cypher only works if you have multiple monsters of the same name in the extra deck, which for the sake of deck diversity, this profile doesn't. And even then, it requires you to detach all materials from the targeted Xyz monster, rendering it pretty much just a big body that can do nothing other than attack. For some tertiary back row that got left out, we've got Message in a Bottle, which kind of pigeonholes you into summoning specific monsters, and I find cards like Galaxy Trance and Numbers Last Hope a bit more useful since they can at least be searched in the deck. Book of Moon is admittedly a good card that was left out for the sake of including more cards that interact with Kite's archetypes. If you want to play a version of this deck that includes Book of Moon, that's totally fine, and I can't fault you for that. Double Dragon Descent isn't going to do much if the opponent doesn't have Xyz monsters. Luminize is an arguably worse version of Photon Current, since it doesn't have an archetype in the name, and it negates the attack to the opponent's benefit. As for the reasons the cards in the side deck are here, Number Hunter is literally just Kite on a card, so it felt appropriate to give to him. The rest of these are pretty supportive of his strategy, and the Felgrand cards just seemed like a nice inclusion to help add some more synergy with the fact that Kite only has one copy of the regular Galaxy Eyes in his anime deck. And they just seem to thematically go well with Kite's deck. Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand is a card I could easily see him using. Onto the extra deck, I made sure to include the Star Lieges, number 38, which was Kite's de facto boss monster in the manga, the new Shining number 38 variant, number 46, which was an important Mytherian number that Kite used against Mizar, number 90, and the number 100 that Kite helped to create, which I honestly think he should have the chance to use, thanks to the art depicted in Numeron Creation, which shows his duel against Mizar. After that, it's just a whole slew of Galaxy Eyes Xyz monsters and the one Link monster. If Neo Cypher wasn't such a big deal in Arc 5, I'd be totally fine with dropping it and the rank up from the side deck. As for the extra deck monsters that were left out, they weren't anything special anyways, so I don't feel bad about keeping Neo Cypher. Twin Photon Lizard seems like an awfully roundabout way to summoning 2 Photon monsters, when they can likely just do that by themselves without needing to run a fusion spell. Number 9 is Quinton's Ace monster, and will be saved for his profile if we decide to make one. Number 10 is clunky to summon, requiring 3 level 4s instead of just 2 like all the other monsters. Its detach effect also isn't super useful since it makes you send a card from the hand to the graveyard before drawing the card. Number 20 and 30 are both rank 3s, which aren't very summonable in a modern Photon or Galaxy deck. Not like that's a bad thing anyways, as neither of their effects are very good, and number 30's effect is actively detrimental to its player. With that, I believe I've covered all my bases in explaining this deck here. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Till next time, I've been Wham Bam Duel, and I'm always happy to see you.